Plot structure. The writer turned the whole emphasis from plot to themes and characters. That is why the importance of plot is quite reduced in Sherwood Anderson's stories. Now, try to analyze the plot structure in Mother. How does the story open? When does the climax occur in the story? Can you prove that the story ends anticlimactically? Analyze the plot structure of Adventure. How does the story open? The character is not simply recalling what happened in the past. In fact, the author is taking the characters and us, readers, back in time to the events. What literary device is employed to create such an effect? Find the passage where the story gets back to the present. When does the climax occur in the story? And about symbols. Winesburg, Ohio is rich with symbolism. Consider the following extract from Mother. Sometimes as they sat, thus a picture of village life presented itself to them. At the back door of his shop appeared Abner Groff with a stick or an empty milk bottle in his hand. For a long time there was a feud between the baker and a gray cat that belonged to Sylvester West, the druggist. The boy and his mother saw the cat creep into the door of the bakery and presently emerge, followed by the baker, who swore and waved his arms about. The baker's eyes were small and red, and his black hair and beard were filled with flour dust. Sometimes he was so angry that although the cat had disappeared, he hurled sticks, bits of broken glass, and even some of the tools of his trade about. Once he broke a window at the back of Sinning hardware store. In the alley, the gray cat crouched behind barrels filled with torn paper and broken bottles, above which flew a black swarm of flies. Once, when she was alone, and after watching a prolonged and ineffectual outburst on the part of the baker, Elizabeth Willard put her head down on her long white hands and wept. After that, she did not look along the alley anymore, but tried to forget the contest between the bearded man and the cat. It seemed like a rehearsal of her own life, terrible in its vividness. Does the above passage have any symbolic meaning? Why did Elizabeth weep? Did the character identify herself with the cat beaten down by cruel people and cruel life? What can Elizabeth's illness symbolize? Consider the following passage from Adventure. Alice went upstairs to her room and undressed in the darkness. For a moment she stood by the window, hearing the rain beat against the glass, and then a strange desire took possession of her. Without stopping to think of what she intended to do, she ran downstairs through the dark house and out into the rain. And as she stood on the little grass plot before the house and felt the cold rain on her body, a mad desire to run naked through the streets took possession of her. Do you think that her clothes may symbolize her fantasies and dreams? Do you think that shedding the clothes can symbolize realization of the bitter truth? According to some critics, the protagonist's adventure in the rain can be understood as a baptismal purifying process, a need to cleanse herself from her past and net and begin anew a life without fantasies and dreams. Characters. Sherwood Anderson places the emphasis on his characters and draws innovative character sketches. Basically, all his characters in Winesburg, Ohio deviate from norm. The writer makes individual grotesques out of them. They are ridiculous, unnatural, and bizarre. So what can you say about the characters in Mother or in Adventure? Do they deviate from norms of balance and harmony? How does the writer create his characters? What language devices does he employ to draw the vivid sketches? How does he describe the mother's possessiveness? Pay attention to the way the author informs his readers about manic love of mother for her son, which can drive itself to murder of her own husband. As a tigress whose cub had been threatened, would she appear, coming out of the shadows, stealing noiselessly. Find other examples of this kind. How does the writer portray his characters? Can you identify the characters in the story that are portrayed as morally degraded, emotionally unbalanced, mentally and spiritually disturbed? And interpret. Why is Elizabeth Willard maddened by the fact that her husband and her son might have a friendly and congenial relationship? Can we regard Elizabeth Willard's husband as an antagonist character? How can you understand Elizabeth's prayer, I will take any blow that may befall if but this my boy be allowed to express something for us both, and do not let him become smart and successful either.